Hey, this is Ish, and today I want to talk to you about how to handle frustration. So, frustration is a sign that whatever that you want is just slightly out of your grasp, so just by a bit, and you actually believe that you can get the thing that you want, but it just seems to be eluding you. So, the key here is that it's a belief that you can achieve something, but it's just not happening for you. And if you didn't think that you could actually do the thing that you want, you wouldn't feel frustrated. So, for example, if I were to go against the world champion of chess, Magnus Carlsen, who's rated number one in the world, even if I lost, I wouldn't feel frustrated. I'd kind of just feel almost humbled by losing, just because I had no expectations of beating him. It's because there's a much far further skill discrepancy. One thing I started to do recently was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So obviously I'm a white belt. And if I were to go against a black belt and get tapped out within 5 seconds, I wouldn't feel frustrated over it because I know that I wasn't going to win anyways. And then likewise, if I were to go buy lottery tickets and I didn't win the lottery, I wouldn't feel frustrated. So it obviously stems from just something being slightly outside your grasp. So I'm going to give you two solutions to dealing with frustration and how to handle it. So I'm going to give you a short-term method and a long-term method. So for the short term, you want to ask yourself what you can learn from the experience. So there's always things in life that are just outside your control. But in order to feel control and a sense of power and understanding, you want to understand the key takeaways that you can get from a lesson. So lessons are important. So one thing I've seen in the YouTube community, so obviously I make YouTube videos, is a lot of people quit. They see that they don't receive any views or subscribers and they kind of just give up, rather than understanding and learning from their mistakes. So for the YouTube example, they could see why they aren't getting views. Maybe it's because they didn't optimize their SEO or search engine optimization. Maybe they didn't make a good enough thumbnail, or their audio or visual quality wasn't on point. So by each failure of what they can learn, they can actually incorporate some lessons and some takeaways from whatever they're doing to improve their quality and fail upwards. So there'll always be challenges and things that are outside your grasp, but the key here is to learn and evolve over time. So when I first started meditating, I really sucked, and my whole goal was to see, okay, maybe I just need to work on my posture because that's number one. And then over time, it's been more and more subtle. So my lessons I still get a lot of lessons and things I can improve on, but it's started to change in scope. And obviously, you start to have a better relationship with frustration because you can understand each lesson. And now on a long-term basis, you can understand frustration as in terms of energy, and I've talked about Levels of Energy, a great book by Fred Dodson. Frustration is somewhere in the lower levels of energy levels. And in Fred Dodson's book, he talks about frustration as being a level 170 emotion on the scale of frequencies. And the stages up from there is boredom, relaxation, and just being content. And that's level 200. So that's slightly above the level of frustration. And essentially, if you're feeling a chronic level of frustration throughout your day-to-day, it means that you need more rest, which is just one step higher than the current level that you're at. So this could mean, getting a massage, going for a walk, meditating. That's a big thing that I like doing. Yoga, whatever that you find relaxes you and allows you to get more rest will help soothe the chronic levels of frustration. And from a law of attraction standpoint, frustration is just the focus on what is unwanted. So if you're experiencing that a lot, you want to change your focus, just like figuring out what lessons you can learn. That's one example. And then the second long-term advice I would give is to understand the cycles of life. So one thing the traditional Chinese medicine system did really well is that it understood that life is cyclical. There's a lot of cycles, just like the seasons. You have winter, summer, all that. And those are different seasons. And we shouldn't expect to feel on point all the time or having the same amount of energy throughout our day and throughout the year, because it fluctuates just like life itself. So understand that the summer will be the most active time in your life where you're actively doing things. And if you're not accomplishing or getting the same amount of energy throughout the year, don't feel upset. So at the time of recording this, it's currently January, and this is the winter season where The yin energy, which is more receptive, is at its peak. This is known as the yin on top of the yin. So this is a very yin type of season at the moment. So this is actually all about introspection, bringing my energy inwards. So if I really attempted to bring the same amount of activity as I did in the summer, I would kind of feel frustrated because I just don't have that kind of energy at the moment. So this is actually a great time for me to shift focus and look inwards rather than keep trying to push through obstacles as I did in the summer. And unfortunately, our society, just the way it's kind of set up right now, especially in the West, is that, especially in 9 to 5 jobs or any kind of job in general, there is constant metrics to hit and certain goals to hit, and that remains constant throughout the year. So if you have a goal of making 50 calls at your workplace, they expect that in the summer, in the winter, in spring, all the seasons. So that's just one of the things you kind of have to work with. And just understand you're not going to give your best all the time, and each season is actually valuable in its own because uh, it provides a different quality that will actually enrich your life. And rather than being at a go 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 all the time, you can use a particular season to generate ideas, to plant seeds, and then when it's time, then you can actually execute on it. So just understand the different seasons, and that will kind of help you out in the long term. So I hope this helps, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.